Taren Trainiacs! What's up, motivators? Where have I been? Well, the answer is Calgary, Alberta, Canada, where Kim and I moved earlier this year. This is all Calgary downtown. We have a river over here. We live way over here. But this is such an incredibly vibrant city, and the tech community in this downtown is growing like crazy. But I know the real question that you're all wondering isn't why are we moving around Canada? Everyone has been asking, like, are we still involved? Are we gone from the endurance sports world and the triathlon world? And the answer is yes and no. Am I done doing YouTube? Well, in fact, we are actually launching 3, potentially a 4th new YouTube channel. You can currently find them in the links in the description below. The first channel is a long-form podcast where myself and a sports scientist from Australia named Nick Jankowskis, we dive into one topic every single show. And we dive into everything that you need to know about that topic. So instead of falling into one camp or another camp, we are in the camp of what does the science say about what works the best for the most amount of people? I'll give you an example. One of the shows that we have up right now is comparing the camp of super low carb versus insanely high carb. And instead of dying on our sword of we're low carb people, we're high carb people, we just get into what does the science say about what is appropriate for everyone. Similar to hybrid training. Should you do all strength and very little endurance? Should you do all endurance and little strength? Again, we start looking at the nuance of, well, do you want to be good at endurance or do you want to be big and muscular? And just deciding where you fall on that spectrum. The other 2 channels are, one is just clips from that show if you want just the summary of what the highlights are of that show and the key takeaways are that you need and you just want to get it in a couple of minutes, you can go and do that. Or if you want to get just a stream of all of our best tips and tricks and hacks in 15 to 45 seconds, there's a channel for all of that with our shorts. So am I done putting out content about me racing, me training? The answer is yes. Frankly, I did what I could do, what this body is capable of, and I don't know if I can even do it physically anymore. 2 things that I was dealing with at the end of my racing career and I'm still dealing with now are this. This ankle, I rolled probably 10 times, fractured it twice in my teens skateboarding. I rolled it really, really badly at the beginning of 2023, went to physio and they basically said that over all of those rolls and fractures, I pretty much don't have any ligaments left in my right ankle. And it makes it really, really hard to run, like basically impossible. Anytime I try to run, it aches for like 4 days because there's nothing to stabilize all of this. And the second thing is my back. Basically, like my back started getting to the point in 2018, 2019 that it was so bad, injured so frequently that I had to work from the floor for anywhere from about 3 to 6 weeks out of every single year. I could barely stand up or drive anywhere. And trying to train through that was getting tough. Here, bring it in here. You gotta bring it in. I felt like my story in triathlon was over. Basically, what happened was I got into triathlon to ask myself questions of, can I be fit? Can I take on hard things? Am I actually good enough to be one of the best in the world at a very, very hard task? And I answered all of those questions for myself. And when I realized that I had answers to all of those questions, I needed to start asking other questions. I needed to ask myself different questions about, could I build a business? Could I actually build something that was bigger than myself? And now those are the questions that I'm asking now. So I'm still exercising. I do 3 strength workouts per week, 3 sessions in the sauna per week, 2 1-hour yoga sessions to help the back. 2 bike rides, and then over on my steed over there, I basically get around the entire city by the e-bike. Been a while since I've walked into a room with you guys set up. I have got to tell you about e-bikes. Hear me out. Hear me out. I can Already hear everyone typing in the comments about Taren being on an e-bike. I regret nothing. I love this bike. So I move here with full intention of doing all of my commuting by bike and not by vehicle. Do one commute on a regular bike, and holy smokes, Calgary has hills. And I'm showing up to investor meetings trying to convince people to invest in us. And I'm sweating and dripping because it was 30 degrees out and I just got off the bike. So I immediately started looking at e-bikes. What I found out is that the key to getting a good e-bike is balancing the power that you get from the motor, your top end speed, the torque that you get so that you can get up hills, the range that you get, maximum distance that you have, with decent cost. So I'm not kidding you. I started looking at this bike, the Ride One Up Prodigy version 2. Coincidentally, literally within 2 days, Ride One Up actually just out of the blue reached out, said, hey, can we send you a bike? And I was like, yeah, I don't really do e-bike reviews, but if I like it and I ride it, I will mention it. So I rode this thing all year. I freaking love it. Good range, good speed, goes up to 28 miles per hour. It has all of the accessories like a rear light, it has a built-in rack, it has all of the, these are metal fenders, and it costs $2,100. They aren't paying me to do this. They did send it out for free. They're not paying me as an affiliate commission, anything like that. They just said, mention it to your people if they're looking to do bike commuting in addition to all of their training. I'm gonna be honest, like I checked out the average watts, it's 70 watts. So it's equivalent to another walk. It's not adding to your training, but the nice thing is that it's not adding fatigue to your training so that it actually hampers the other workouts that you do. If you wanna commute, do this, like it's so good. Hey, would you look at that? 2 walk into the shot occurrences in the same video. I want to end with a little bit of a heart-to-heart that I feel I owe you. So here's the first thing. I'm not gone. All of the links to all of those new YouTube channels are in the description below. Now, go and check them out. All I ask is that you watch some of the content. I'm not even asking you to subscribe. Don't subscribe just because of nostalgia for me or wanting to help me out. I promise you that if you subscribe just as like a pity subscription, it's actually going to hurt those channels. But if you like that kind of content and you plan on watching more of that kind of content, by all means, then subscribe, and we're going to do more of that type of content. But the thing that I realized over the last couple of years is that my story as an athlete is over. I want to ask myself different questions than I was asking 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 8 years ago. And the questions that I'm asking myself are about business. And frankly, most of my time is spent just thinking and working and on Zoom calls here. That doesn't really make for a very good video. I know the power of taking on big challenges like half marathons, marathons, triathlons, all of these things, and how life-changing it is. And I don't want to be completely separated by that. I want to continue to give back, and I think that if there is something that I am still and will always be good at, it's understanding how to help people achieve their goals no matter where they started from. I am like all of you, where I started at 215 pounds as an alcoholic who was not very fond and proud of the life that I was living. And I managed to change all of that. With all of your support and with the support of many people out there, I experienced an enormous amount of cool things and got to learn an enormous amount of cool things that I believe, because I come from that background that pretty much everyone else starts from and got to top 1% kind of athlete in the world, I understand how to take all of the information that's out there in the world and apply it to the average person who wants to be far more than average. So if you want that type of content where you can get advice that cuts through the clutter of this opinion versus that opinion versus this opinion versus here's what the pros do versus what this brand says because they're paid to do it versus what this pro says because they're paid to do it. If you just want to get good, helpful advice that is designed for ordinary people who want to accomplish something personally extraordinary, links are in the description below. And finally, to end off, a huge thank you to everyone who has been a part of this over the last 9 years. You've all changed my life, personally, professionally, our family's life. We've been able to travel the world, meet amazing people, meet a whole lot of you, and all of the messages that I received while I was racing, while the channel was growing.
Gotta say good morning, Trainiacs, if you want to be extra cool.
Morning, Trainiacs!
That works. That works. Pros.
First of all, we have to say, hello, Trainiac.
Yeah!
And over the last 6 months, while people were worried about where we are, it means the world to me. You all helped change my life. So I owe you all a huge thank you, and I'm continuing to try to give back to this endurance world, just in a different way. Thank you all. Go check out those other channels. Don't subscribe if you don't like the content, but if you like the content, subscribe for more. Later, motivators and Trainiacs. Thank you all.